Hi there and welcome to another workout in the Rowing for Fitness series. Now this is actually for everyone can row it, but I've aimed it at people who are coming back after like injury or illness or time away from work, or people who are kind of getting up there in years and want a bit more of a kind of slow ramp into their workout to make sure that the bodies are moving and things. As such, what we're going to do is a 9-minute warm up, and today we're then going to do a 15-minute workout, and then we're going to do our 2-minute cool down and some stretching at the end. So this is a full workout. There's none of this having to hunt around to find little bits. You can just settle down with me for the next kind of like 35-40 minutes, get a good workout and then go on about your day. All right, so we're going to get into that 9-minute warm up, but we have to set up our machines first. And what I want you to look at first is your foot straps or your foot stretcher height, how high your feet are in the foot stretchers. And what you're looking for is to have the strap covering the balls of your feet. Why? Because that allows for better kind of more comfort as you come into the front. I completely lost my words there. When you come into the front, it makes it that you're able to get that kind of, the angles of your feet are perfect if you've got it across the balls of your feet. Whereas if you're set too high in the foot plates, what happens is the foot strap kind of constricts you back and you can't quite get in there. Your flexibility, that's the word I was looking for, your flexibility is reduced because you're so high up in there. And this is the thing that I see most often with people, is that they're set way too high in the foot straps. So get your feet down to a nice comfortable position. The ballpark, as I said, is across the balls of your feet or the bottom lace of your shoe. Make sure it's comfortable for you though. Next up, when it comes to resistance of your machine, because this is a nice gentle ramp into today's workout, I want you to just really lower it down as far as you can. Okay, so on the Averon here, I've got it set to 1. So I really just kind of, I can just think about my body moving rather than having to fight any kind of resistance on the machine. And I suggest that you do the same. All right, so we're going to start off this warm up like we always do in this series with just some rocking up and down the rail. We're not even going to touch the handles. So if you're ready for this, we're going to get going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. So for 30 seconds, this is all we're doing, okay? Just moving backwards and forwards, pumping our knees, getting them used to the fact that they're going to be compressing a little bit and then opening out. And just this kind of posture of your back as well, the fact that this is going to be supporting the effort as you come to the back. But again, you shouldn't be like racing to the back. A nice gentle kind of glide up and down the rail here. And then when it comes to posture, that's what we're going to work on for the next 30 seconds. So what I want you to do is hold on to your seat and then sit up. Holding onto your seat is kind of, you don't need to do it, but the point of holding onto the seat here is that you've got a way to kind of think about sitting up. And I don't want you to be bolt upright. I certainly don't want you to be forcing yourself against your hands, because that's where you can become, it's uncomfortable to do that. This is about just getting that sensation of your lower back kind of going, oh, hang on, I'm about to do something. You should feel it activating, but it shouldn't be sore, is what I'm saying. Next up, we're going to put our arms out straight in front of us, and we're just going to continue rolling up and down the rail. And this added, the momentum that you've added by having your arms in front of you, not only will it slow down your roll rate or your stroke rate, but you'll now find that your body is naturally leaning forwards as you come to the front of the machine, and then naturally it's swinging towards the back of the machine. So this is like a very natural way to just glide up and down. And then what I'm looking for is when we start rowing, this is basically what you're doing when you're holding the handle. Of course, that's going to be the next stage that we come up, where we do the kind of ghost rowing. So what we're going to do in just under, well, right about 15 seconds time, is we're going to start kind of air rowing, pretending that we're rowing, and then that will really get a better feel for what the stroke should feel like. But like I said, this should be a natural lean forwards and lean back as you're doing it. So if you're ready, we're going to start doing some air rowing. So I just want you to pretend that you're rowing. Don't worry about how daft you look. Okay, I've done this in gyms all over the country where I've sat on a machine doing this. And you know what? Most people, when they see you doing it, go, all right, there must be a reason for them doing it. It's not like they've forgotten to pick up the handles. So most people will actually kind of go, all right, I wonder what that's about, rather than actually thinking you look daft. That said, if you're at home in your garage or your studio or whatever, then it's a lot easier. You don't have to worry at all about what people might be thinking. So, but this is just it. You're just flowing through the stroke. You roll into the front, arms straight, come into the back, and then pull at the back of the stroke. You'll notice even here that I've got my arms nice and straight, and I only do my pretend pull as I come into the back of the machine. The good news is, in a few seconds time, we're going to pick up the handle and start actually rowing. So here we go, pick up your handle and let's just do some light rowing. So if you've got your resistance down at a nice, hardly any resistance setting, then really the flow that you were just doing when you weren't holding the handle, this shouldn't feel too much different. The difference here will just be that as you come into the front and then you push your feet into the foot plates, you'll feel the bite of the handle as the handle connects to the machine. And what you're looking for is to push your feet at the same time the handle bites into the machine with straight arms. Okay, and that's how the rowing stroke really works. Then it all becomes more nuances about what you're doing with your back and all that kind of stuff. But ideally, you push with your feet at the same time the handle connects to the machine. And so for the next 2 minutes, what we're going to do is we're going to increase intensity, and you're kind of going on an exploration of how your body is feeling today, what you're capable of. And we're hunting for the comfortable, steady state pace. Now you might not get quite to it within these 2 minutes, but don't worry, we start off the main workout at the comfortable, steady state. So all I want you to do is increase the intensity to a point where you know you're exercising, but it doesn't feel anywhere near hard. You know you could still have a conversation, so you're not breathing really hard. Your heart rate is climbing, but it's not that high. If you have a heart rate monitor, then you're probably right about 60% of maximum when you hit your comfortable steady state. And so this is something that you could really hold the pace at for quite a long time, depending on your fitness. So if you were really fit, you could hold this for like 4 hours. It's like that kind of pace I'm looking for. But if you're still on your fitness journey, then 4 hours for me might be 10 minutes for you. Okay, so never worry about other people when it comes to pace and time on a rowing machine either. You're on your own journey, okay? I spend a lot of time doing this, so the fact I can row for 4 hours is more a comment on how I should really be doing something better with my life than sitting on a rowing machine for 4 hours. That's how long it took me to row a marathon the last time I did one. Okay, in 10 seconds time then, we're going to break this down into its component parts, like the stroke. So keep your legs straight, and I want you just to row with your back and arms. Again, don't worry here about speed or force. All I want you to do is lean forwards with straight arms, and then swing over your back first, and then pull in your arms, then out with your arms, and tilt forwards with your back again. Just build your core. And like I say, as long as your resistance isn't too high, it should be nice and comfortable as you're going through it. And now we're going to go and do the opposite side of this. So arms straight, forwards tilt, roll into the front, and then just connect your feet to the foot plates. Foot plates. Too early in the morning for me. Connect your feet to the foot plates. Okay, so, and the reason I'm saying connect your feet is that you don't have to push here. Okay, the rowing machine will take care of itself. You just connect your feet, keep your arms straight, and work on the timing between that push of the feet and your hands connecting. Okay, let's take one more here, and then we're going to go through the tricky bit of one foot out, and then put it on the ground, and continue rowing with full strokes. Now this is about opening up your hips and helping your compression into the front. So again, we're not talking power here. We're just talking moving, tilting forwards, arms straight, push with that one leg that's still strapped in. And then this will help having only one leg in terms of rolling until your shins are vertical when you get into the front of the machine. Let's swap feet. After all, it's the perfect position to get into, is shins vertical. If you can roll into the front with your shins in a vertical position, arms straight, forwards tilt, that will give you the optimum amount of power when it comes to pushing, and your best chance of being able to connect your feet at the same time as your hands. Right, one more here, and then let's just go back into some easy rowing, whatever pace you want, just for the next minute, just to make sure your body, just because we did those little drills, I want to make sure that the flow of your body is back in terms of rolling backwards and forwards, and that you're thinking about coming forwards with arms straight, using your legs first, and then only pulling at the back of the machine. This is how you get an efficient, consistent stroke. And as dull as that sounds, with efficiency and consistency, well, that's where you unlock a good workout ahead, okay? This is where you will get the workout you're looking for. Right, just a few more seconds to go in this warm-up. I'll take one more stroke here. And what I want you to do is have a quick drink, maybe have a little wiggle of your backside on the seat, or even stand up, whatever you want to do. I will quickly describe what we're doing today. All right then, so today's workout is going to be 15 minutes long, and if you want to increase the resistance on your machine, by all means do. I've gone from 1 to 3, which still isn't that heavy, but I've got the rest of the day ahead of me. I don't want to be lying on the floor at the end of today's workout, right? So 15 minutes, and it's going to be broken down into quite a lot of that comfortable steady state rowing, okay, because that's what's really going to get you just nice and fit and healthy. But just to make it interesting, we'll have tiny little bursts of going a tiny bit faster. Not too fast, there's no sprints in this one. There's no point doing sprints when it's kind of one of these just building up through a rowing for fitness workout. We might eventually, but not today, all right? So if you're ready, you've had your quick drink and you're comfortable, we'll get started on today's main row in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And let's go. So as always, we're going to start off at a comfortable steady state for the first few minutes. 3 minutes today, and we're going to row it at 20 strokes a minute. And this is kind of our default pace, okay? To be honest, if you could find your comfortable steady state, remember that's that feeling when you're working, you know you're exercising, but you know you could do this for a long time, and you can hold a conversation with someone. You might need them to talk so you can catch your breath, but you're not absolutely out of breath, okay? If you just held this pace and intensity for the full 15 minutes, you probably get just as good a workout as what we're about to do by varying the stroke rate and intensity a little bit over the course of this 15 minutes. However, that would be quite dull, wouldn't it? Especially for every single time. Eventually we might do like 2 times 10 at this. You never know. But I'm trying to make them a little bit more interesting, because usually I've got a thing that I say where people will say, oh, rowing's boring. I go to the gym, I sit on a rowing machine, I just get bored. And usually what I say to them is that if you're bored on a rowing machine, you're not going hard enough. But because this series is kind of a rowing for wellness, a rowing for fitness, it's not really about, like I say, leaving you on the floor at the end of the workout, then adding in full power sprints and things, kind of I'm not going to do that in order to try and keep it interesting. So this is why it's just going to be about changing intensities for tiny short bursts, just so you're not doing a straight 15 minutes at this intensity. Anyway, I'm hoping after that 2-minute opening waffle that you have comfortably found your comfortable steady state, and that you are hopefully holding it consistently. This is where stroke technique and things really does come into play. Like I said in the warm-up, if you can row with a consistent technique, then you'll find that your pace will remain consistent through most of it. You might wobble a second or two, but if you can be consistent with your stroke, you'll be consistent with your time. And what we're going to do in 15 seconds time is just push a tiny bit harder with our legs. Not much. And what it's going to do is take me from 20 to 22 strokes a minute. Okay, so here we go. Just a tiny bit. All I want you to do is just attenuate. Is that the right word? Just a tiny little bit more. Just get a feel for how a tiny bit of a push, suddenly your stroke rate has gone up and your pace has gone up for almost an imperceptible amount of extra push. Just going to do 2 more of these. 1 more. And let's return to that comfortable, steady state. Just a minor, I was about to say hiccup, that's not the word. That's negative, so speed bump. Surge, burst. It's maybe a bit high. Should try and think about some better terminology, shouldn't I? But back to that comfortable, steady state. At 20 strokes a minute. We'll be doing this for 2 minutes before we change it up to something else. But really, the reason I do bang on about technique quite a lot, okay? I'll try not to overburden you with technique chat within these workouts, but there's a reason I do. And that is because if you can row with at least something close to a good technique, and that means arms straight, tilted forwards to the front of the machine if you have the flexibility to do so, and then pushing with your legs first, with straight arms, and only pulling at the back, then that is how you will work your whole body. Okay? You may have read that rowing is an all-over body workout somewhere, and maybe that's what led you to pick one at the gym or to buy one for your own house. But if you don't use it close to how it's meant to be used, then you could be losing a lot of potential work. Like if you're not pushing with your legs, you're losing like 60% of the energy you should be burning. Right, in 2 strokes time, we're going to try and get up to 24 strokes a minute. So here we go, push a tiny bit harder. Again, okay, so where it was almost imperceptible when it came to 22 strokes a minute, you might notice this one a bit more. Certainly, what you should notice is that rowing at 24 strokes a minute, your pace has gone up. So I'm rowing 6 seconds faster now that I'm up at 24. We're doing this for a minute, just in case you're like, hang on, he's gone past. What are we going to do? But you should also hear your machine is making a slightly louder whooshing noise as you put more power into it. Get ready to slow down back to that comfortable, steady state again after this one. So back to 20 strokes a minute and your default pace, your nice, comfortable, steady state pace. And then we're going to be here for 2 minutes again. And then after that, those, get my tenses all wrong now. After the 2 minutes, we'll do the 22 burst again. But this time, we're going to break it down and mix it up 15 seconds, where we're going to go a little bit faster up to 22, and then we'll take it down to this steady state again. Don't worry, I almost confused myself then while talking to you about it. I'll keep you right. We've got another minute here as we go through. Just let our body, see, the thing about this pace is that it lets your body settle down Okay, so from any kind of higher exertion, if you hit this comfortable steady state, it lets your heart rate and your breathing settle down, but also it allows you to return to your flow again, especially because 20 strokes a minute is a magical stroke rate. It's not magical, it's mathematical, because it's 1 second drive, 2 seconds recover. So 1 second drive, 2 seconds recover. So you can really just focus on that. Okay, one more stroke, and we're gonna push a tiny bit harder, go up to 22, but only for 15 seconds. Okay, so it's not much. Take one more, and then we drop back to our comfortable steady state for 15 seconds. And we're gonna keep on doing these little micro bursts for, well, another minute after this one. So here we go, up to 22, just a tiny push. Okay, really just get a feel for how your legs are what control your stroke rate and your pace. One more, back to your comfortable steady state. Find that rhythm, ease off, let your body recover. One more here, then back up we go. Just a tiny extra push. As far as your arms are concerned, they won't really feel like anything's changed at all. It's just about a little extra push and a faster drive and recovery. Back to that comfortable steady state. And then we're going to continue at this rate and pace for another 2 minutes, just to help you continue that flow. And the truth is, this is all down to the effort that you're putting in, okay? So if you finish a workout like this and you feel absolutely totally exhausted at the end, chances are you're going just that little bit too hard for these comfortable steady state portions. Whereas if you were to finish this and go, I don't feel like I had a workout today, then maybe you could go a tiny bit faster during these comfortable steady state portions. It's entirely up to you what you do with your time on the machine. So I mean, I'm aiming this at people like, really, I'm not aiming this at people who are rowers, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. It's like rowing for fitness, wellness, etc. No one's gonna really sit and crack out an amazing 2K time trial when they're rowing at a very gentle pace. However, if you are a rower, you could just pick a really hard intensity through this workout and still get a fantastic result at the end. It's all down to how much you put into it. The machine just sits here. It's the power you put into it that makes the difference. Okay, we are gonna go up and do a 30-second burst at 24 again in 3 strokes time. Okay, one more. You ready? Let's go. So just push tiny bit harder and then recover a tiny bit quicker. That's all it takes, especially after doing these long, comfortable steady state portions. You should really have got that kind of body feel for still how similar this feels. It doesn't feel too much harder. One more here. Okay, then back to the comfortable steady state. And then we're going to sit at this for 1.5 minutes in total. And then we'll just look at adding just a bit more power, but not too much. I'm not going to ask you to go too hard, but don't worry, got another minute before we get to that. So just settle into this pace. And what I'm hoping is that through a workout like this, each time we return to the comfortable steady state, you are finding it easier to get to it, to hit your stroke rate, to find your consistent pace. And then on top of that, what I'm really hoping is that as we go through this series, your comfortable steady state is a little bit faster eventually as you get fitter and stronger. That's a good sign that you're improving. Okay, so in 15 seconds time, we're going to continue 20 strokes a minute. So don't increase your stroke rate, but I want you to push a little bit harder with your legs, okay? So after this stroke, right, you ready? So just push, and then a nice slow recovery. Push, so that'll be quite a fast drive, slow recovery, push. And here's just a way to really get a feel for how it's all about the legs. You're not increasing your stroke rate here at all, yet you're going faster just because you're pushing harder with your legs. Let's take one more here, and then comfortable, steady state to paddle home. And I want you to still try and hit, if you've been rowing at 2 minutes 11 pace through this workout as your comfortable steady state, then I want you to be there right now, because we are going to cool down next. So there's no point easing off quite yet. One more stroke. Well done. So that's our 15-minute workout done. I'm out of breath. I've got a little bit of a glow, let's call it, going on, but I don't feel absolutely exhausted. Okay, and that's kind of what I'm still looking for at this stage in this series, all right? If you can just be a little bit sweaty, a little bit out of breath after a workout like that, then that's perfect, all right? So let's get into the 2-minute cool down. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start off at the pace where we're just rowing, then I want you to ramp down the pace, get gradually slower as you go through the 2 minutes, and that'll give you a chance for your body, well, to cool down. That's why it's called a cool down. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. So really it's just the same stroke rate and intensity. Your body will have cooled down over the 30 seconds or so I just took between finishing the workout and starting this up anyway. So you should find that your breathing is pretty much returned to normal. Your heart rate will probably be a little bit elevated, but it will have dropped a bit. And then starting again at this pace will just make your body activated so that now you can start just backing off. Just ease off the intensity, push a little softer with your legs. That might give you a slower drive speed, so it's taking you longer to get from the front to the back. That's perfectly fine. We're no longer worried about stroke rates here. All I want you to do is ease your body off. And remember, like I've said a few times, the technique and the consistency of the technique, working all of your body, is just as important here in the cool down as it is in the main workout. Because if you're not including that kind of your tilt forwards with your back here and then the swing to the back, if you don't do that in the cool down, well, you're not cooling down the muscles in your core that are responsible for pitching you forwards and swinging you backwards. Same with if you're not at least connecting your legs to the machine, then your legs won't be getting the option to cool down either. And what you don't want is to do a hard workout and then not cool down and then seize, get the muscle soreness the next day. One more stroke from me and we're all done for the cool down. So what we're going to do next is move into stretching. And I'm going to stress this every time we get to it. This is how I stretch, okay? If you have a way that you stretch your muscles, do what is good for you. If anything that you do when you follow me is uncomfortable, then stop, okay? I don't want you to do anything that makes you kind of go, oh, that's not right, but the guy on the video tells me I should be doing this, so I'm going to continue. That's a bad idea, okay? So you know your body, you know what you're capable of, you know when it's a bit too much, you know what's right for you. So let me guide you through what you should be stretching, but you don't have to follow what I'm doing, all right? Good. Service announcement over. So I'm going to loosen my straps slightly so I can flick my toes up against the straps. And then I'm going to sit at the back of the machine, on my backside kind of pretty much perched off the edge of the seat. I'm kind of halfway on it, aren't I? And then hands in the air and then hinge forwards. Remember I said before about this idea of a book closing or a hinge closing. That's what I want to do there. And then I'm kind of just resting my hands on my ankles. And this is now giving me a great stretch down my hamstrings. But the important thing there is that you do the hinge of your body forwards. You don't curl your lower back or your upper back as you go forwards, because then it doesn't get you into the hamstrings. So if you're doing this and you're like, I don't feel anything, then reset and tilt forwards. It's like you're sending your body towards your legs rather than curling it down. All right? Is that a good way to describe it? Who knows? One of these days I'll get it and you'll go, all right, that's what he means. So hamstrings done. Let's move on to glutes. Now I put one foot in between the foot plates on the Averon when I'm using it. And then legs straight, bring my other foot across so that my ankle is in the kind of the divot of my knee on that leg that's down. Pull that knee across my body, and I can already feel that this is kind of activated just by pulling my knee across my body. And I have a straight line between my face, my knee, and my foot. Hold it in place with that arm, and then I'll grab onto the back of the seat and then rotate round. Now, if I'm doing this on a Concept 2, I tend to hold on to the back of the actual machine, but here I can't find it because the seat on the Averon is that little bit higher. I can't get down to the rail. While we're here talking about that anyway. It does look strange, I know, on the Averon, the fact that the seat is high, kind of like, crikey, you're so high up. But the feet are the foot plates are just as high as well. So I've measured the angle between the seat and the foot plates on this and compared it to a Concept 2, and it's exactly the same. It's like 1 degree different or half a degree different. But it just looks weird. Or not weird, I'm not going to say that. Don't call the machine weird, John. Right, let's do the same with the other leg. So got ourselves lined up between our face, our knee, and our foot, with that foot across into your knee. Hold it in place, hold on to the back of the seats, and rotate round, okay? And you should, I was too busy talking about seats there. I didn't really describe what you should be feeling, but that your glute, which is basically your backside, as you're doing this, you should feel like a radiating stretch coming out of it. So it's not like a localized, just single point. It's kind of like it's coming, oh, you shush. It's kind of coming up all the way through your glute. And you should feel like the more kind of connected you can feel with that knee, that straight line of your face, your knee, and your foot, the more kind of focused you'll get that stretch into your glutes. I think I almost forgot that word too. Next, we're going to move on to quads, which is usually where my head pops out the top of the screen. So apologies if it does. Now, I stand up for this. You don't have to. This is one of the first ones I'm a little bit about doing. And I'll rest one hand on the monitor for stability and then flick one foot up behind me and then hold, oh, I'm almost falling over, hold my heel against my backside, and that then gives me a good stretch on the quad. Now, because of the stability issue here, I'm standing up, and also because of that flick of the foot backwards, I understand that quite a lot of people might not be able to do this one or don't want to because they don't want to risk falling over. In which case you can basically do exactly the same thing lying down on the ground. So the position that I'm in, you can just be lying on the floor, and then you gradually just going to ease your foot back into your quad at the way it is. In fact, maybe in the next session, that's how I'll do it, just to show you. Yeah, right, I'm going to swap feet, and again, I'll turn around very slightly just so you can see what's happening with my heel, how it's kind of touching my backside, and then I'll invite disaster by not holding onto the monitor. Because yeah, it does. I mean, listen, only in what we're on the third workout of this series, and already the stabilizing powers of my ankle have increased, says he as he's about to fall over. So all these kind of small, tiny micro things that you can do just to try and help your body get better at what it's doing. It's like when I brush my teeth, I do it like this. because holding an isometric squat for 2 minutes, who wouldn't want to do that? It's really good for your power and stuff. So it's a good way to hack in. Oh, hack's a terrible word. A good way to hack in a little bit of extra training into your legs. We're going to move on to hip flexors. That's why I'm down on the ground. So hip flexors next. And what you want to do is have one knee on the ground underneath your hips, foot behind you. I put my toes on the ground rather than pointing up. It's entirely up to you. Other foot is in front of you, and you've got a 90-degree angle in both, all right? And then when it comes to stretching the hip flexor, we're not just curling forwards. This does nothing, all right? That stretches nothing. What we want to do is be in a kind of good, nice posture, and then send our body forwards. And then what that does is it closes off the angle of the front leg, it opens up the angle of the back leg, and then if you lift one arm up and just, what will happen is you'll kind of, as you lift your arm up, you will slightly lean backwards. And what that does is it really focuses in that stretch down your hip flexor. Really kind of gets in there. So it's a good way, if you're kind of like, I don't know if I'm stretching my hip flexors or not, then the two things to think about are, one, don't curl forwards, just have a nice send your body forwards. And the other one is maybe lift your arm up into the sky with that slightly backwards motion, and that will help. So I'm going to swap legs. Do the same on this one. So 90 degrees, I think, yes. And then send my body forwards. Close off the front angle, open up the back angle, toes down, and then one hand up. And then with that slight lean back by putting my arm up in the air, I can really feel it going all the way down my hip flexors. Now your hip flexors do get used, I mean, they shouldn't be overused when you're rowing, but if you're the kind of person who pulls yourself forwards with the foot straps, which you shouldn't be doing, I've not really got into that yet, then your hip flexors will take quite a lot of a battering. So this will be a good one to do. And then start watching videos about why you shouldn't pull yourself forwards with your straps. I'll maybe cover that in the next one. But like I say, I don't want to just be battering technique stuff out the whole time. It's bad enough that I say comfortable steady state about 100 times in these workouts. You must be like, oh, I said it again. Anyway, let's move on to forearms. So put your hands together in front of you. God, my shoulders, I always notice that one shoulder's higher than the other. Hands together in front of you, push them together, and then as you're pushing them together, bring them down in front of you, okay? Continue that kind of pushing force between the two of them, and you should feel, I mean, you could do like a rotation if you want to, of your wrists, like that changes where it goes, that changes where it goes, just to try and localize in case you have any kind of discomfort in your wrists from the rowing, the forearms from your rowing and your wrists, then maybe that's going to help. As I come forwards, it completely takes it away from the forearms. As I come back, then it gets more of a stretch into my forearms. So find your point. To be honest, straight up in the air is perfect. Don't know what I'm on about. Okay, now we've done that, we can move on to shoulders. So put one, just kind of wave at the camera, wave at me, hiya, and then bring your arm across your body. And for me, that's as far as I can get. So I'm going to use that arm to help pull it even further back, okay? And then as I'm still looking forwards, my upper body, my lower body, everything's still going forwards. The only thing that's really changing here is my arm and the angle of my arm. That stretch up in the shoulder really does come in. Okay, and I can feel that happening. Now again, your shoulders shouldn't take a huge amount of battering here, but because they are the power conduit of between your feet and your hands, then there is enough that you do want to kind of stretch them. I need to find a different word than battering. That sounds a bit kind of harsh, doesn't it? Let's change, let's do the other one. Make sure I don't hit the monitor. Yep, and then loop your arm and then hold it back. Try not to shrug your shoulders up when you're doing this one. Just sit here quite nice and naturally and hold it. And again, you're not trying to, it's not like a G.I. Joe Action Man Barbie figure where you're trying to kind of pull the shoulder out of its socket. You're not doing that. You're just putting enough force here that you can feel a nice, everything should be that you feel a nice radiating stretch, okay? You should never be doing any of this that causes you actual discomfort. If you're ever stretching and you're like, oh, that really hurts, I'd stop if I were you, all right? Oh, forgot to say you can look the other way. So if I look to the right while I'm stretching to the left, it gives me a little bit of a neck stretch as well. So let's do our last stretch, which is going to be the cat-cow, okay? So hopefully you know this if you've ever seen like a yoga video or whatever. But let's get on our hands and knees in a tabletop position, which means that your hands are underneath your shoulders, your hips are stacked over your knees, I've got my toes on the ground again here. Again, it's up to you how you want to do it. And what we're going to do is we are going to send our, I completely forgot what I was doing there, send our backside up while we look up. And what that does is it creates like oh God, I'm not having a very good day, am I? Divot? No. Bend? Curve? Your stomach's pointing downwards and you've got a big kind of curve to your back. I don't know what I'm saying. Days like this I should start again, shouldn't I? Right, and then the opposite of this is when you send your hips forwards, so you're basically sucking your stomach in, and then your chin down to your chest. Okay, I'm very aware that the microphone here is probably a booming sound of nonsense because it's right in front of my chin. So I'll try and speak a little quieter here. Okay, and then you're now arching your back up, and then it's going to cow. I'd possibly hold these too long, so I'm too busy talking to you. So let's go into cat again. So you should really feel here that your stomach is kind of coming inwards. You're sending your stomach muscles towards your back. Let's go to cow again. And this should be, when you go into cow, it should feel like your lower back stretching, and then your stomach stretching in cat. And then your cow is your lower back. And we'll go into cat one more time, and then that's us done. And then I will go and read up on better terminologies. What are the words I need to find better for? I need to work out how to describe the curve of the lower back when we're doing cow, and I need to think of a better word than batter, because batter isn't very good, or your good battering of your muscles there. It's a very Scottish word. It's very fun to say in a Scottish accent, isn't it? Batter. The thing about Scottish words, it's all short consonants. That's what makes the Scottish accent what it is. Sorry, I'm meant to be a professional. Hi there, me, Roland, hi. So we're done. That's workout 3, all done. So make sure go and have a nice, get yourself a nice drink to kind of get fluids into you, have a shower, get on about your day, and I hope you enjoyed this one. And I look forward to seeing you in one of my other workouts, whether it's another in this series or any of the other workouts I have up here. I hope that you find them and you enjoy them. Do get in touch and let me know. And yeah, until then, please take care of yourselves, all right? So row well, be well. Bye-bye.